Hey guys, Mike Toy here, Bonsai Boise. This is my Ficus Microcarpa. Today I'm going to do a kind of a light trim on it and repot it. It has been repotted for about a year, so I thought it was about time. So come with me and let's get going. Alright, so here it is. So originally this was a Home Depot bonsai. Got it about 5 years ago, I think. And I repotted it into this little pot that it's in now about 3 or 4 years ago. There's a previous video to that right here. I'll put a link. And I have repotted it once since then, last summer I believe it was. Didn't make a video on that, but thought it was time to repot it again and just give it a light trim. I'm more or less happy with it. I like the way it's going. I like its shape. It just needs a little refinement. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for some obvious places like this long branch here. You can see where it just kind of shoots way up. So I'm gonna take that down to 2 branches right there. I'm just going to repeat that process kind of throughout. And anywhere that there aren't situations like that, and we just have like a long branch right there, for example, I'm just going to clip the tips off. And by doing that, it should cause the branch to split into 2 and cause more ramification. So that way you don't have long, twiggy, lengthy branches, you have more splits, 1 into 2, 2 into 4, etc. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to address something on this head first. So initially when I posted a video on this a few years ago, I think I called it a Ficus retusa, aka Ginseng Ficus, and I had some comments on that. It turns out there's a big debate about what exactly these even are and what is the difference between a Ficus retusa and a Ficus Microcarpa, Ficus benjamina, tiger bark ficus. So I did a lot of research. I'm still not 100% sure, just because there are thousands of varieties of ficus out there, and people are always making hybrids and grafts and whatnot. But to the best I can tell, this is a grafted tree. And this is a common bonsai tree that you'll find at box stores and online. It's a real common tree. And typically what they are, like this one, is a grafted tree. It is 2 types of Ficus Microcarpa. The top half is a green island ficus. The bottom part, I don't actually know. It's a Ficus Microcarpa. I don't know if it's any particular kind, or if it is, I don't know the name. But that's the story on this. So it's 2 trees grafted into 1. If you ever see these at stores, just look and you'll see the actual graft point where you can see them put together. So that hopefully heads off the controversy on the name. So I trimmed it down pretty good, and when I say pretty good, I don't mean pretty hard, I just mean good enough, Gave it a light trim, got it back into a reasonable shape, opened it up a little bit in spots so that light can get in there. Now I'm going to repot it. I didn't wire this in. I rarely wire them in, to be honest. I usually just put them in there and put some stones in to kind of hold it down. The unique thing about this one, unlike most bonsai trees, is that it's multi-trunk. So the trunks spread out around the parameter of the pot, rather than the normal bonsai where you have one trunk in the middle of the pot and the roots spread out radially. This one is the opposite. The trunks are spread out around the perimeter and the roots are more growing inward. So it's really complete opposite of most. It's weird. That's why I like it, because I'm weird. So I'm just raking out the roots here, going superhuman speed, because it's a really long, tedious, boring process. I'll spare you some of the boring details. But the goal here is just to get all the old soil out. I'm going to go give it a good rinse, trim some of the real long ones off. Otherwise, I'm not really going to do much. I'm not going to fuss with the roots too much. This is just kind of one of my little bonsai trees that I'm happy with, just sort of the way it is. So small amounts of refinement here and there are good enough. So there it is. Now before I put soil in, let me show you something. I've got this, I think it's called a cream stone. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. With a K. If you've got old bonsai pots or any pots really, and it's got, build up like that, calcium buildup or fertilizer buildup, and you've had trouble cleaning them like I have, and I've tried everything, just get one of these little $20 stones on some bonsai website, and rather than scrubbing these things and soaking them for hours and scrubbing them for hours, like a couple of minutes is all it takes with one of these. Can't say I've done a ton of research. I don't know why this particular stone works the way it does. All I know is that it does. And it works on metal tools as well. Take rust off. I don't know if it actually sharpens tools or not. It actually just occurred to me, I have never tried to sharpen a tool with it, but I imagine it might. So I didn't scrub it down so that it's perfect, but I got it good enough. Looks better than it did. So you can see it's still got some of that, I believe it's called, it's something between patina. Patina is like the natural coloring and aging of a pot. This is more like patina plus buildup. So I've got my netting in there, put some soil in. I don't want to bury it all the way down. More soil in. A couple more fun facts on these for anybody who doesn't have one or is new to them or wants to know more about them. They're pretty hardy trees. They can take, I don't want to call it abuse, but they can take some abuse. You can hard prune them and they seem to respond well. You can take cuttings from them rather easily. I typically, when I take cuttings, you can take it from hardwood or softwood or something in between. I like to put them in a cup or a bottle of water for at least a week, preferably 2 or 3 weeks, and then put it in soil. For whatever reason, I find that helps, but you don't have to. Sometimes, the right time of year, you can go right in soil. It helps if you do it right in the middle of the growing season. Speaking of which, it's an evergreen, so it doesn't go dormant the way that like a maple would. It doesn't lose its leaves, but it does have a growing season and a non-growing season. Like in the wintertime, it'll just sort of stay the way it is. And they do not like cold. They do not like cold. They like it warm, humid if possible. They can live. I've got one in my office where it's a little drafty, and it does fine. It's just more comfortable in a warm, humid environment. Now, it would look better if I went and got some newer, cleaner stones, but I'm going to use the same ones, kind of a little superstition. I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. I stole that joke from The Office. I can't make jokes on my own. So there it is in all its glory. That's really all it takes. It's not rocket science. You get the hang of it after a little while. Don't be afraid to make big cuts if you need to make big cuts. I will point out that structurally speaking, this is not following all the bonsai rules. It's got multiple branches coming out of the same spot in some areas, and that's okay. I just like it the way it is, so I'm gonna roll with it. So I appreciate everybody watching. If you have questions or comments, please leave them. Have a good rest of your day.